going to demonstrate water sampling, and again, you're going to want to label your sample. So for water sampling, you can use any container, especially if you're just doing agricultural water testing. If you're going to be doing some sort of contamination testing like diesel or motor oil, then you have to put it in a glass container, because the plastic from the Ziploc from the plastic bag can get into the sample and can skew the sample, giving you incorrect results. So we're just going to use a glass mason jar. Well, you want it to be clean. You don't want to spike your sample, because if you used your mason jar for fertilizers previously and then you put it into a test, you're going to have really high numbers and it's going to be very confusing for you. So once again, we're going to label our jar. And this time I'm going to call it well water, because this is our well water. We also have spring water, so I want to distinguish between well and spring. Some people have ponds. So I'm going to say it's just well, because we just have one well here. And I sampled it August 12th, 2016. Sampling, again, depends on what you want to ask. So right now, I just want to know what the nutrient content is of my agricultural water. And so we have a well, it pumps it into a tank, and then this water is going to be coming from the tank. Sometimes I've had customers testing their water for lead. If they're on a municipal water and they're in town and they potentially have lead and copper pipes, they'll test for lead. And you can test that two different ways. You can test the first morning pull from your sink, where the water's been sitting in those pipes all night long, and you can see how much lead and copper that water has taken on. And then the other version is where you flush out those lines and you see what's your daily consumption, what's your day-to-day average lead and copper content in that water. So those two different water samples are going to have very different numbers, because one was sitting in the pipes all night and one was just the flush through. So those are things that you have to ask yourself what you're looking for. I'm going to be taking my sample from the hose that's connected to our irrigation system. This comes from all the way up on the hill in our water storage tank. So when I first turn it on, I want to flush out any water that's been in this hose, because that's not what I'm trying to ask in my sample. So I'm just going to let it run for a little bit. Usually there's kind of a little burp when the water in the line is over and the new water is coming through. There's an air bubble that kicks out. There it is. And when I have a good steady flow back, now that's the water that I want to sample. That's what's coming from the tank. So I can just put my jar underneath it. I like to flush it out just in case there was something else in there. And then you can go ahead, cover your container, turn off your water, and you have your sample, and this is ready to go to the lab.